Hello world and hello everybody. My name is Timothy Ryan Scully. Please call me Ryan. And this is going to be a tutorial on how to use Soundflower, as well as other things. Before we begin, I'd like to make a huge shout out to Robert Emmons, aka Bobby. He is my teacher for a class on podcasting of all things, and he basically wanted me to make this tutorial for you guys in my class as well as for you guys on YouTube, so let's get started. First things first, setup. Yes, as far as hardware is concerned, we are going to start with the basics. For this podcasting class, you should already have one of these. And one of these. And imagine you couldn't be watching this without at least one of these. So, just a word of warning, this is for my MacBook 2012. I'll show you the specs up here. It also runs Catalina, so if you don't run this specific type of machine, especially if you run a Windows machine or something, I can't guarantee that this tutorial will work. In fact, I'd recommend that you at least have a MacBook Pro for all the advice I'm about to give you to work, because Soundflower is made specifically for Mac OS and Mac OS products, so you have been warned. So, moving on, we will go over the software setup. I recommend using at least 2 of the 3 software programs I'm about to use for this tutorial. The first one, get this up here. This is optional because you don't necessarily need Adobe Audition for this class or for what I'm about to show you. But I like using Adobe Audition. It costs me at least $30 a month with the student subscription, but it comes with a lot of other programs and you get a lot of nice features with it. I just want to show you what it looks like. And we'll put that on the side. If you need to run something for free, I recommend downloading Audacity. You can just Google Audacity and find out where to download it. I won't be covering it in this tutorial, but I will be covering how to use it with Soundflower. And as for the soundboard setup itself, which we'll be going over in a little bit, I recommend using the MIDI keyboard I showed you earlier, or at least something similar to it, along with a program called Garageband. This is Mac exclusive, so you might need to get creative if you're on a Windows machine. Figure out some other type of program. I already have a sound sampler set up, but you can... Yeah, I'm gonna show you the photograph. Yep. You can see the laugh track and everything else I have on here. We're gonna be starting a new project though, so don't save an empty project, but we'll go over that in a little bit. So you're probably wondering what Soundflower is to begin with. Soundflower is something that you basically install on your OS kernel, your operating system's main program, to essentially wire together your inputs and outputs. Think of it as a crisscross between a virtual microphone and a virtual speaker. It is meant to make hooking up the audio recording from multiple devices possible. It is exactly what you need to record your voice like I'm doing now, your keyboard, or any other music that you could even play on like Spotify. If you want to play music in the background. Yeah, if you want to play music in the background. Alright, so now that we know what Soundflower is, how do we download it? Well, it's simple. The way I found it was I basically went on to my browser. I'm gonna adjust my browser. Yeah, I'll just bring it up here. And I went to a little site called Google. You might have heard of it. And I clicked on the first thing that came up. Although honestly, I wouldn't recommend clicking this, but this is basically how I found it. And then I found this little GitHub link. If you read through it, it'll tell you to go to the GitHub link here, which takes you directly to where you can actually download the Soundflower program. You can actually go through here, and it shows you how to use it, and it lets you download a DMG file, which is basically Soundflower in a nutshell. A quicker way of doing it actually is to simply go down here, and it's the same thing, just with fewer steps. And I already have Soundflower downloaded, so I'm not going to do it again, but basically you would go to this site, you would click here, and you would click here, and you download it, install it, whole 9 yards. I'm sure you know how to install a file. So the next thing you want to basically do is set up what's called MIDI. I forget the exact acronym for MIDI, but it stands for something along the lines of Musical Instrument Digital Interface. And the way you set that up is you basically go into Finder, and I'll bring Finder where you can see it. There we go. And you go into your applications, like so. And you go down to where it says Utilities, and you can either click the arrow there, or you can go to Audio MIDI Setup, or you can click on the folder itself, double click it, and you can go to Audio MIDI Setup is basically where you want to go, right here. And I'm going to have to bring this around. Being a little bit of a pain in the neck, but you basically want to see something along the lines of this. Now, when I first did this, it didn't show me this. It showed me something more along the lines of, let's see if I can show it. Interesting. Yeah, it's weird because when I first did it, it actually showed me a whole bunch of MIDI devices that were connected to the computer, but nothing like what you see here. To make this open up, like if this doesn't open up and it does the same thing to you what it did to me, you can just go to Window, and yeah, this is what it showed me earlier. It was the MIDI Studio, and you can basically open and close windows here. Like you have the audio devices. This is what you want right here, the audio devices. This is something you don't need, even if you are operating a MIDI keyboard like I am. You want to go to audio devices. If it doesn't show up, like I said, just Window, show audio devices. And you want to make what's called an aggregate device. Aggregate device is what you want to make. Now I already have one made here, but say I want to make another one, I could actually just, I'll just delete this. Hit the mini there. And then we just add plus, and it says create aggregate device. You want to hit the plus, create aggregate device. And you basically want to put everything into the aggregate device that you want to use. For example, if you have a MIDI keyboard, which I'm pretty sure is the HDMI here, you just click the MIDI keyboard right here. If you want to use a built-in microphone, you use that. If you want to use a microphone you have plugged in, you click on that. And most importantly of all, if you want to use Soundflower, you don't have to click on both of them. Like I know it gives you, If you know, it gives you the option to select 64 channels, but unless you need a lot of ports for some reason, you really don't need 64 channels. You only need 2, so just click 2. And there, you have everything clicked on that you want to play through, so that's basically how you set it up on MIDI. So the reason we want to make an aggregate device in MIDI is so we can use the same input for multiple outputs, or vice versa. I'll show you what I mean with a little program called Garageband. So, say you're starting up Garageband for the first time, you would have an empty project like this. And here, goody goody goody, goody goody goody. Alright. For a microphone that you want to hook up to, say, GarageBand, you would basically want to choose a track type and have that track type be audio. You can do the same thing with a amplifier or like electric guitar. Drummer is basically an automatic drummer. You don't need any inputs for that. And software instrument is what you want to use with your MIDI keyboard. So we're just going to select this for right now. And you'll notice that when I press a key, you can actually hear the notes. And the reason that it works so well is because I basically went to settings, which you could either access through the toolbar by clicking GarageBand and clicking Preferences, or if you like to use short keys, you can just hit Command, comma. It will be Control, comma if you're using it on Windows, but I don't think you can actually use GarageBand on Windows, so Command, comma. And you go to Audio MIDI, and you'll notice that I have the input device is the aggregate device. This allows me to think of the input as a microphone. I basically have a microphone set up against multiple devices, and the microphone goes into GarageBand so that everything that GarageBand takes in as an input, like my voice, for example, if I were using a microphone, or the MIDI keyboard, it takes in all those inputs through the aggregate device. And I didn't show you earlier, but I actually had set up a multi-output device, which basically is like an aggregate device but for output instead of input. And I have it set up for Soundflower as well. Very useful. And you can pretty much select any type of instrument you want. You can make your own drum kit. You can have a synthesizer. You can play guitar sounds. Any instrument you can think of. In fact, I'm going to just make a new software instrument track here and show you how you can actually make your own sampling device. So let's go into, that's not what I want. Here we go. So we go into channel EQ. Is that one? Exciter, compressor. Nope, that's not what I'm looking for. Give me a minute. Here we go. Plugins. And you go into ePiano, and you go into AU Instruments, Apple, and we have the sampler. And you can have mono or stereo. We'll pick stereo. And here is where the magic happens. You can actually set up the sounds you want to play per key on your keyboard. The way you do that is simply like this. First, you hit the plus button here. Not quite like that. Here we go. First, you select the instrument you have here. This is the instrument as you hear it. And you can add a new one by hitting the plus button here. It should work this time. And you select the sound that you want to use by going into the folder that has your sounds. So let's see, I got my sounds here. What do I want to use? I want to use You know what? I download a lot of stuff off YouTube, so let's try some dramatic cues. Doesn't seem to like the MP3s. So I might need to use something more akin to a waveform. So let's play this one. Yeah, I can do better than that. Do 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 do. Eh. Do do. Let's just try that one. And you can basically make your own sampler that can even go on different wavelengths. Now I'm playing both at the same time because I didn't delete this instrument, which I can do by hitting the minus button. And now we have an instrument that goes. And that's how you make your own audio sampler. I actually have a bit of a creepy laugh track that I've made with a previous project that I'm going to open up. I just wanted to show you this as a way of showing how you can do it yourself if you want to add your own sound effects. So let me just go open recent sound sampler. And I don't need to save it. And it's loading. And of course, it does this. So I'm going to have to. There we go. So I have a creepy laugh set up to this, and it can go all the way from high pitched to very low and dark, along with other instruments. Here, let me see if I can do Moonlight Sonata. Yeah, very cool. So I basically have this set up for multiple inputs we're using the aggregate device and multiple outputs using the multi-output device. And that will come in very handy for when I bring up Audacity to basically make my recording. And you'll see here, like the way Audacity works is it actually works one track at a time. And you can't set separate tracks to separate inputs and outputs. You can do that in Audition, and I'll show you how to do that in a second. But say you're doing it for free, which most of you probably are, and you need to use Audacity. The way you would do it is like this. First, you'd go into your input, and you'd select Aggregate Device. Then you go into output and you'd select either your multi-output device or whatever you wanted to output to, like your speakers, whatever. And you'd want to put in as many channels as you want so you can capture all of them. I think I only need 6. I'm going to check by looking at my MIDI keyboard. Let's see, look at that aggregate device. Yeah, it looks like I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'll just pick 5 channels. Should do the trick. And then you hit the record button, and I'm going to record probably the worst song you'll ever hear. And I got to make sure I got Garageband set up on my separate monitor. You can't see it, but I actually have a separate monitor that I use. It's not required for projects like this, but it's handy to have. And I hit record here. And we got a little error. That's okay. This is what you do when you get the error. You basically just restart the program. I'll show you how to restart the program. And we go back into applications and we start Audacity again. Yeah, this is unfortunately what you get with Audacity. I actually just recently downloaded it because I already had Audition, so I didn't really need it, but it should work after you restart it. And yeah, there we go. So yeah, you can see it's recording my voice, and I'm going to click on the laugh track in my Garageband, and then I'm going to, and you can see down below here, it records my, my laugh track, and I can easily select instrument and play Moonlight Sonata again. Yeah, very cool. And when you want to stop, you can either hit the space bar or just hit the square right here. And you can go all the way back, and we'll record it.
Yeah, there we go. So, yeah, you can see it's recording.
And you can see that plays, and here you have laugh track and my voice.
My laugh track. And I can easily select instrument and play Moonlight Sonata.
Yeah, it's not perfect, but it's what you get for free. If you want to pay a little bit more money, you can always go with, no, don't save this, Audition. And that's what the big boys use, only because it's more expensive and a bit more useful. When opening Audition for the first time, you want to select first multi-track. And actually have it set up to a special template, but let's just say there is no template and you just want to record your podcast. So let's go to podcast. And we got, okay. So we basically have default stereo input, and yeah, you gotta be careful doing that because you can actually zoom up and down. Yeah. So let's zip this a little bit. Yeah, the way I'm doing that is I have the trackpad on my Mac, and I'm actually using 2 fingers to go up and down. I'm trying to scroll through it, but I'm actually adjusting the size of it. If you really want to go up and down, you should really just use the sidebar right here. So as you can see, it goes to default stereo input. The way you record is you can't just hit this, unfortunately, because then you get nothing. Yeah, it's not recording anything. So you basically make it stop, and you basically want to hit the R button on what you want to record. So we'll hit record, and you can see that it detects my voice, but not my MIDI keyboard. And I have a feeling I know why, and I'll show you what I know and how I know it. So we go to audio hardware this way. Remember, this is your input, goes in, and this is your output, goes out. And this goes to the master, which is down here and has the default output. So let's set up our default input. And it goes to aggregate device, which is what we want. You remember, you want... Oh boy, here we go. But either way, you want the main input of Audition to be the aggregate device, and it's not working because I ran into a problem with Garageband, which I'll show you how to fix in a little bit. But this is set up the way you want, and you want whatever output device you're using as a default output, and you can set them all to the same output by having them all hook up to the master, which is down here, and you kind of have a master volume down here. And if you want to set this to something specific, like say the Logitech USB microphone, you can go to stereo, like I just said. You just go to input, and you have the port here where it goes to the Logitech, and then you hit record, and it should be recording my device. That's weird. Why is it not detecting me? Alright, well, as usual, you just want to make sure that you don't panic. Boom, 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 boom. Nope. Alright, so something went wrong, and I'm about to find out what. Okay, so... Oh, this is not working at all. So, okay, so aggregate device not working. So there's something wrong with the aggregate device. Let's see what it is. Probably the same thing that's going wrong with Soundflower. That's weird, though. And of course, this happens when I'm recording. Multi-output device. Okay, so apparently you can just monkey with it like a little bit like I did now, and it's fine. So now we go to stereo, Logic Detect device, record. Yep, that's my microphone. And that's in mono. We want stereo. So, okay. Odd, it's only using mono. What? I2 computer. I did everything you like, and this is how you treat me? So anyway, I'm going to... Yeah, you had the select driver not found. There was a hiccup with the driver, apparently, in GarageBand. So I'm just going to go to GarageBand and show you how to fix that real quick. All you got to do for this is go back into Preferences. Remember, Command, comma. And you can hit either Reset MIDI Drivers, which usually works. And let's just see if that works. Okay, that does not work, so it looks like I'm going to have to restart GarageBand. Remember, when in doubt, just restart. You don't even have to save it, you just have to restart it. So, restarting. And it'll even start you right back where you left off once it loads. Yep, there it goes. Loading, loading, loading. And you can't see it, but it's on my other monitor, so let's put it where the nice people can see it. Yes, there it is. And it should work the way it's intended to. Yep, there it goes. Perfect. Now, if you want to play on another track, well, let's see if we can get this microphone to work real quick. Should work. It's only mono. Why is it only mono? Okay, that's the aggregate device. Okay. Multi-device. Okay. Okay. So why is it only mono? What is going on here? Ah, I see. So apparently the recording on the left isn't the, or the recording on the right here, like you see the little bar that goes up and down when I speak. Yeah, the bar next to it is actually this little thing, which actually plays back for you, which will actually be real handy if you're just using Soundflower. And I'll show you how that works. So say we're recording this, and we want to set it up like this with the Soundflower. And remember, Soundflower is hooked up to the multi-device, which is hooked up to GarageBand. So if we go back to GarageBand, it'll be a little hard to see if I do it this way, but it should. Yeah, you could almost see it. I'll put this on my other monitor then, and let's think something nicer. Okay. Yep, I got music playing on here. And yeah, I can literally record my voice while playing music. So I'm going to just sing a little ditty here. Moonlight Sonata. So, as you can see, Audition is very useful. And to finish off this little tutorial, I'm going to show you how I made my own template for this as well. All I basically did was first I set up everything the way I wanted, and let's just make sure everything is the way I wanted. Yep, got the microphone there. Like this mic, yeah, just call it mic. And we'll call this music. We'll call this sound. Also attach it to the Soundflower, and we can even call this Zoom and attach it to the Zoom meeting. Very fun stuff. And we want to set this up as a template, so first you go to File, and then you export, and then you go Session as Template, and you can call this anything. You can actually name it something previously like podcast, which is already a template in here, or you can name it something like Ryan's template, and it should save it as a template, so the next time you make a new multi-track session, there we go, new session, you can pick Ryan and change has changed and no output channels are present. Do you want to open it? Don't show again. What does that mean? Interesting. Yeah, but as you can see, you know, it might actually be more obvious if I were to. Oh, I see what happened. GarageBand is. Yeah, GarageBand does that every once in a while, just to keep you on track. Yeah, sometimes you just have to restart the program for things to work, but you get the general idea. And yeah, that's how you make a template. And that's my mom in the background. Ignore her.